Kaspa holders, welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel. Let's take a look at, what's really happening with the price of Kaspa right now, and of course, what we could be expecting going into Thursday morning. If we're looking across the board, we're seeing an amazing day right now, for the crypto markets. A lot of green across the board. If you did end up watching the H-bar update, you guys kind of know, what's happening. If not, if you only watched the Kaspa updates, obviously I'll keep you guys covered as what's really happening across the board. So if you're looking across the board right now, we're seeing pretty much everything at this point in the top 100 is up. The whole market is in green, which of course I'm sure no one's really complaining about. Bitcoin has seen, our level retest for the first time since, the beginning of the year. We're almost approaching $100,000 Bitcoin. And if you follow my channel on a regular day-to-day basis, that's something, I've been talking to you guys about. Kaspa is up 6.7% over the course of the last 24 hours, with the price currently sitting at 9.55 cents. Also up 4.5% in Bitcoin compared. Now, if you're looking at the market cap, $2.5 billion in the 24-hour trading volume at about 66.5 million. Before we get into any further, as always, just a quick disclaimer. Anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So if you're looking at the Bitcoin dominance index here, you guys can see this for yourself, 65.5%, retest just a few hours ago. And again, we have not seen the dominance index, showing this much strength pretty much, since 2021. And right now, speaking about 2021, that's, the first time since, we have seen this level being retested. But since the Bitcoin breakout, you actually have seen dominance pull down. And remember, when Bitcoin explodes the way it has done so, you are going to see altcoins really picking up steam. And that's exactly what we're seeing happening across the board right now. Let's give Bitcoin a refresh live and really understand, what's happening with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is approaching $99,000. It actually ended up retesting $99,000 just a few hours ago. And again, if you've been following the channel, this is the level that, we've been speaking about. And you guys can see this for yourself. We touch right at the neckline of that 99K. It's a significant resistance because pretty much after breaking out of this key resistance, turning into support, the 100K, Bitcoin price is in, play. So, definitely, great momentum right now. But, what has changed compared to, the beginning of the year around, the levels, where we're seeing, all-time highs being obviously tested at the beginning of the year. We were seeing the dominance completely different. This time around, there's more capital flowing into BTC, altcoins kind of lagging behind compared to, where they were at the beginning of the year and, of course, later last year. That is something that, we need to consider. And obviously, those are the questions that are being asked. And, that is honestly the answer to that. But so far, so good. Loving what I'm seeing here. But let's take a look at, what's we're really seeing with Kaspa. So if you're looking at Kaspa's price here, we're seeing a little bit of a battle happening between this blue zone. We've actually tested below this, blue zone several different times. We actually came down to 8.6 cents a few, hours back. You can see this for yourself. If that was, somehow you got in around that range, to dollar cost average, you did see Kaspa go up 10%. Again, not a small number. I know some people are going to come out and say, well, it's not 30%, 40%, but 10% is not a small number by any means. Swing traders, I'm sure, are, like having a complete field day. 10%, like I said, is not a small number. But we're back in this blue zone. But remember, you need to understand how much significant resistance there really is around this level. It's not an easy level to be breaking out of. And of course, on top of that, major resistance around 11.1 cents. Again, some levels that we have been talking about pretty much since the low of 5.5 cents. But so far, so good. Kaspa is still showing a lot of significant strength. And I still strongly believe if you break out of this key resistance, Kaspa, really starts, moving up quite fast. This is a project that has, seen major swings. It does tend to, break out quite heavily, but at the same time, when it comes to retracement, it kind of has, major red days compared to some of the other altcoins. So of course, the risk factor, with Kaspa is higher. I know the moon boys are going to come out and say, Kaspa is going to the moon, this and that, yada, yada, yada. But of course, right now, we need to look at the facts, and this is a coin that is more volatile compared to some of its competitors. And of course, a huge reason of that is due to low liquidity. Of course, it's not not still being listed on a lot of, these big exchanges, which I think is a major factor. But so far, so good. I'm really, really liking what I'm seeing here. Hopefully, dominance continues to fall down. And again, in a grand scheme of things, it's literally really high. Even if it were to go down to 64.7% or even down to 64.6%, it's still really, really high. But of course, this would be quite bullish for altcoins if it were to, pull down. So we'll see what happens. Let me know down below what you guys think. Thank you for all your support. We'll see you later in Crypto ZX, and peace out.